Hello, and good morning, and welcome back to the Holistic Witch's Cottage. My name is Melissa, and I am the Holistic Witch. And today's podcast is going to be a little different because I'm going to start with a mini recap, and then we're going to switch over the music to introspective, and it's going to be a yoga and time break. Now, over the 40 days of Lent, I was working on this series on yoga and time called Ashes. And then I did a free class using the modified Kundalini called the Magnificent 9. And I did a free class that sort of pairs with Ashes to help practitioners develop discipline, strength, and control. And I've been working on doing the Magnificent 9 every day in my own personal practice, and I'm already seeing really positive results in that. So the class that I did on the yoga and time group was taught on the floor, on the mat, with blocks and bolsters and modifications. So if you're a beginner, that may be a great place to start to look and watch that longish class that shows a lot of modifications so you can work within your safe range of motion, always trusting and listening to your body and working safely. Okay? Now, I was offering chair modifications. I guess I was just verbally offering them because I wasn't using a chair in the class. And there were some questions about that. And then people reached out to me and said, well, it's really cool, but I can't remember the sequence and how long to hold each pose. So I'm going to offer two parts. Today I'm going to do the mat class, the floor class, and then at a later time, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, or whenever, I will do part 2, Magnificent 9 part 2, in the chair. The fun thing about this being on audio is you can just play it every day until you learn the sequence, and then you can choose your own music and do it on your own. So that is my plan. So if you are going to do the Magnificent 9 with the mat today, you will need a mat, maybe blocks, maybe a bolster or pillow, or props that you generally use in your yoga practice. So while you're gathering those, the recap is that Easter was basically very uneventful at my house. It was rainy, it was terrible, it was cold. My husband was working, and kiddo slept most of the day. So I started my morning by going through Pluto, the free streaming platform, looking for April Ghouls, G-H-O-U-L-S, movies to watch, and I chose the Cloverfield trilogy. I watched the first one, which I hadn't seen in many, many, many years, so it was sort of fun to revisit that. Yes, my Easter is always very Easterween, always very weird and spooky at the cottage. And it was fun to revisit that. And then the second movie was 10 Cloverfield Lane, starring John Goodman as the crazy dude. I actually love that movie as a psychological thriller. We don't see any monsters in that movie until the very, very end. The crazy guy is the monster in that movie, so it's a great psychological thriller. Kiddo tells me that years ago I watched the Cloverfield Paradox, but again, maybe it was on and I was doing 16 other things while it was on. I don't remember it all. I was going to watch it, and the version on Pluto was in Spanish only. for funny, I was going to try to watch it in Spanish without subtitles, and I still may try to do that at another time, but I did not do that today and on Easter, and I haven't done it since. But then, I was flipping around looking for something else, and I saw that Fringe was playing on Pluto. So J.J. Abrams did the Cloverfield stuff. J.J. Abrams was involved in Fringe also. So I decided to go back and revisit that. That was a show I thought was really cool in the beginning, and I kind of lost interest as it went on. So I've been watching season 1 of Fringe, having fun with that, the paranormal, the weirdness, the whole deal. So that's the recap. There's not much else to tell other than the weather's been weird. It's supposed to warm up to maybe 50 today, but the weather's been weird, so not very conducive to planting and fun spring activities. So hopefully, if you're going to participate in today's yoga and time break, you've gathered up a mat, maybe a blankie, a pillow, or a bolster, maybe some blocks, and maybe a cozy drink. I'm having coffee with oat milk today. Nothing spectacular. And I'm still in my jammies. All right. So I am going to switch the music, and I think this class will actually begin around the 8-minute mark, and I will tag that in the intro. Okay? So I'm going to switch to no music and then switch over to the other music. No music. New music. Oh, it looked like that worked. Okay, so go ahead and spread out your mat. Today's class will begin supine. You may want to lay a pillow at the top of your mat to support your head and neck. You may want to have blocks or cushions available at your side if you need some support. I will be prompting today's class the exact way I did the one on the video, with modifications. If you don't need the modifications, if you don't need the pillow or bolster, just skip them. So we are at the 8-minute mark, and I am going to begin. Lie back on your mat, your head supported with a pillow or bolster if you wish. Arms at your sides, and slide your heels back toward your glutes. The first stretch will be called cat stretch in Kundalini. Twist your knees to the right side. Maybe your knees can touch the floor, maybe they're hovering in the air, maybe they are supported by a block. Arms at your sides, your head is gazing upwards towards the ceiling or the sky, and your lower body is twisted to the right. And we will hold there for about 30 seconds. Inhale, bring your knees back upright to the center, and then we'll be twisting to the left. If you need to set up your blocks or props to support you, Go ahead and do that now. When you are ready, we will twist to the left. Your arms are still stretched out to the sides. Let's begin. And hold for 30 seconds. Come back to center with your knees bent and your feet still slid toward your glutes. Two options for eye gaze. You can keep your knees upright. You're still lying back with your head supported, or you can extend to full supine and stretch out just lying down supine on the mat. Go ahead and find your preferred position now. Settle comfortably into your mat, grounding in your preferred pose, in your preferred posture. And now draw your hands together up in front of your face, gazing at your palms so your hands are together, touching at the pinkies and the palms. Extend your hands 12 to 18 inches, whatever's a comfortable reach for you. And you are going to gaze at where your pinkies meet. And we will hold there for about 1 minute. And you may hear Momo in the background. Draw your hands away. Bring your fingertips towards your forehead and lightly massage your forehead down along the sides of your face, down your jawline to your chin and down your neck. And then we will pinch or apply pressure to the nostrils and close the nostrils for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you would like to do some alternate nostril breathing, use your index finger to close one nostril. Inhale. Exhale, and then switch to the other side and do the same. Then taking both hands, if you are able, squeeze your earlobes with light pressure and then press against the little triangle at the outside of your ear to reset. and then settle back into your grounded, comfortable pose. The next pose is stretch pose. This is a strength builder. I need to modify this pose by sliding my hands under my glutes towards my hips to support my lower back. Sometimes it also helps for me to slip a pillow or a folded blanket under to do this. You may need to use modifications on stretch pose. What stretch pose will look like is you are lying down flat on the mat and you will lift your feet up off the mat, legs extended, lifting the feet 3 to 8 inches. If this is difficult, you can place a block to support your feet on, or you can raise 1 foot at a time. Explore and experiment with stretch pose. If it's difficult today, just try raising 1 foot at a time. Over time, you will find that you become stronger and have more control. And we'll only spend 15 seconds in stretch pose today. Let's begin. Lift one or both feet. If you lifted one, let's alternate. And ground and settle back into your mat. If you are an experienced yoga practitioner and you would like to spend more time in stretch pose, I am going to just leave 1 free minute at this time to do that. If you choose not to do stretch pose, just relax and ground into the mat and take some deep breaths. Let's begin. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. The next pose will be Cobra. So, shifting onto your side, let's roll over onto our tummies. I like to use a blanket or a cushiony bolster to support my hips. So we'll be lying flat on our tummies, our hands, our elbows against our bodies, our hands near our shoulders, and then we push our hands into the mat to lift our head and torso up. And we will be in Cobra for 1 minute. Let's begin. If it's becoming difficult, you can lower. We have 15 seconds left. The next pose will be dynamic cat-cow. So gently move from cobra to tabletop position. So you'll be positioning your body onto your hands and knees. And in the Magnificent 9, we spend 3 minutes in cat-cow. So you'll move through your own flow at your own pace and your own dynamic movement, choosing what best serves your body. Let's begin. I'm timing this for 3 minutes. If it's too much, you can stop and rest in tabletop or child's pose. That's 1 minute. We're approaching 2 minutes. Continue or rest or play with your favorite fur baby like I am. Momo says, I like this podcast. He likes this music, these bells and chimes. "15 seconds left. And then we'll be transitioning to staff pose or just seated on your mat with your legs extended. The next pose will be called front stretch, and what that looks like is a forward seated fold or a forward seated bend. So with your legs extended and your feet flexed, inhale, exhale, fold forward, stretching your fingers towards your feet. If you cannot reach your knees or your shins or your feet or your toes, that's okay. Just stretch forward. If you can reach your toes, I would like you to firmly grasp your toes and rub your toes while in this position. And we will be here for 1 minute. That holding of the toes is called toe lock. our next transition will be to rock pose. That is a kneeling position where you sit back on your heels. So let's transition to kneeling, not healing, kneeling on your heels now. Now in a traditional Magnificent 9, we are holding this position for 5 full minutes. I will not be doing that today. If you wish to, you can always pause the podcast and use your own timer for that. I will have you in rock pose for 2 minutes, kneeling, sitting back on your heels, your hands on the floor at your sides or on your thighs. Posture is long and straight in the spine and gazing forward. Let's begin. One more minute. Our next transition will be to modified fish pose. I'm going to offer a few options on this. And in a standard Magnificent 9, this pose would be held from 5 to 7 minutes. If you wish to remain in rock pose, pause me now and finish that, and then transition to fish with us. For fish pose, from your kneeling rock pose, your feet will flare out to the sides and you will be sitting in between your feet. So move from a kneeling position to a knees together, feet wide position with your sitting in between your feet. For the first time, if you would like, you can remain here. If you would like to incline into fish, I actually have to use blocks and a bolster to do this. In a perfect pose, you are seated with your bottom between your feet, your knees are together, and then you recline back onto the mat in full supine. I am not able to do that. So I set up blocks and a bolster so I can recline onto the bolster, and I'm about 6 inches from the floor. So you can stay upright, you can set up blocks, bolsters, or pillows to recline a bit, or you can go to fully reclined onto the mat. Go ahead and set that up. In a standard practice, this would be 5 to 7 minutes long. We are only going to remain there for 1 minute today. Let's begin. That's 1 minute. If you would like to remain longer, you can pause the podcast and stay as long as you are comfortable. I would not recommend going longer than 5 to 7 minutes. If you have any pinching in your knees, please discontinue this pose, and we'll move on to the last pose of the Magnificent Nine, which is the shoulder stand. So without modifications, you'll be lying down on the mat. You'll lift your bottom and hips up and use your hands to support you. So your body is supported on your head, your shoulders, and the upper back, and the rest of your body is upright. So this is a position where your feet will be high and your shoulders will be grounded into the mat. This one is difficult for me, so here is my modification. I start with a block on lowest setting and put it at the place where my lower back, below my hips, just at the very lower base of the spine meeting the tailbone. I do not put the block under the lumbar at all, not under the small of the back, but below the hips. I place a block under, similar if I was placing a block for supported bridge pose. And then once my hips are supported, I raise my legs. I stay there for about 1 minute, and then if I feel comfortable, I reposition and move the block to medium position so I am lifted higher. An alternate pose for this would just be legs up the wall, so your legs can be supported against the wall, supported against a propped bolster, or using a strap or scarf to hold your legs up, okay? If you are able to lift the hips into the air for a full shoulder stand, that's awesome, but I can't do that anymore, so that's why I modify. The recommended length of this posture is 5 minutes. We will be staying there 1 minute today. So go ahead and set up how you want to try this. You can always readjust. If it's difficult, back out. We always work away from pain and discomfort on yoga and Thyme. Let's begin. and ground into the mat, removing any props. We will end today's practice in Shavasana for 2 minutes, but you can always stay longer if you wish. Experienced yogis may want to add pranayama or breathing techniques to this practice. I may add those at a later date, but since we have many beginners, we're starting very slowly with modifications. Thank you for joining me today. I will let the music play for 2 to 3 minutes, and that will end our podcast. Thank you for joining, and blessings on your journey. Bye-bye.